Guys, I just found a secret vintage hi-fi shop inside this trading post. You have to see. So today, I'm breaking the rules. That's right, I'm already breaking the rules and that guy's honking, which means he's probably not very friendly. I stepped outside of PA where you guys sent me and I came to New Jersey because I found a secret vintage hi-fi shop in a trading post. I thought the cornfields were scary. Now I'm in Jersey and there's rusted barbed wire. I wonder if there's barbed wire in a lock for a reason. And this abandoned building. There's something in here I don't want to know. You know, now I'm getting freaked out being around here. Why do you guys send me to places like this? Okay, I actually went to this place on my own. I broke the rules, and I guess this is what I get, barbed wire. It's like I'm in prison. And I left Pennsylvania because we were in Philly, and it was close enough to New Jersey that I could come and check out a vintage hi-fi shop out here. Derek's Trading Post. Stereo, video, buy, sell, trade. There it is, guys. There's a secret vintage hi-fi store within these four walls. Dude, this is insane. Look at this, just walking in. You got a Sansui G22000. I've only seen 3 of these, so that is just insane. It looks like they put LEDs up in there. So if you guys have never seen the Sansui G22000, you can see it's a receiver. It's a single receiver, and some people debate that it's separates, but it's like a half size deep for a monster vintage receiver, and all your inputs are on the sides. And you do that because the amp is just so big. If you had to put this in one box, you would never be lifting it. Right on top, you have a really nice Sansui RA5000 reverb. Watch as I turn this, see it kind of fades a little bit, gets a little blurry. That means you're getting a little more reverb on there. Really nice. But yep, if you've never seen it, there it is. You can hear the fan going on this thing. That's how powerful it is. So next to it, like you got a Techniques reel-to-reel. These are extra rare as well. This is the 1700. This has the auto reverse, but they're made famous because of how the middle is on these. So you can see it spinning right there. But how they have that open look. Even have one of the original reels on this one. So that is a 6 set. And underneath it, if you look at the receiver underneath it, so that shows the real size. The size of the Sansui over here this is Realistic's biggest receiver that they ever made, the STA 2100. And that is a massive receiver. But next to this guy, not even close. Like that's how large the Sansui is. It's just absolutely insane. You see, go back to it again for a second. You got this volume limiter here, so you can turn this so people can't turn the volume past it, and just all the bevels on each knob. A lot of attention to detail on this one. That's what makes it one of the most popular and rare receivers, you know, ever made. And they have stuff all throughout the case here, even underneath. I mean, you got Sansui's, got a DBX down the bottom there, you got a Macintosh. That's the scope display. That's a really cool piece. You got an MR71, the famous tuner. Underneath, JBL Century 100s. Man, they're just packing a punch when you walk in this place. Some of the best known vintage audio out there. So you have the Century 100s. That's where the JBL had the drivers positioned vertical in the center instead of the odd diagonal positions that a lot of them have. They got the original grills that have, you know, the little squares on them over here. We were listening to it a minute ago on the Fortes. Really, really nice setup. Got the Marantz 1120 and then a variation of a Dynaco SD70 on top. It looks like it's been completely redone. Really, really nice. That's just walking in. Like, we haven't even gone down this wall yet, but we will in just a second. I want to see the other side. The other side of here. So they sell all kind of different retro games, and they sell some car audio. But here we got some other big vintage receivers over this side. So you got a Fisher 400. We saw one of those the other day in our turntable store video. The Nyko 8085 right there. And then look at this. You see that little quad light lit up there. This is the Sansui QRX 6500. And on top, you got a Technics SL 1610, Kenwood's KR 8840. This is Kenwood's like original monster receiver from the 1970s, right? So it's still a 4-channel quad receiver. But on top of it, they actually have somebody here that builds their own tube amps. So you got those, the JWN tube amplifiers on top. And then you got a case of tube amps down the bottom here. So you got a Macintosh 40, right? So that is a monoblock. And behind it, you have the other one. So you have the whole pair of Macintosh 40 monoblocks. And you got this one. This might be one of the custom ones. I'm not too sure. It looks like it's older though, so probably not. You got a Pioneer RG1. That's a great expander. If you don't have an RG1 and you collect Pioneer stuff, you need to go out and get it, like right now. Got a couple of the Adcom boxes right here, and then you got a Phase Linear 1000, a couple Fishers up top. Look at that. It's like a mini console Fisher tuner. That's pretty neat. Get the original Sherwood white tuners here. I love the way they did the logo on these. If you look at that old vintage Sherwood logo with the arrow and how that logo changed over time, you can actually see on the next one down. Just a little bit of a different design. I get the Fisher Tune-O-Matic. So what's really cool is it's an analog tuner, but over on this side, you can actually set different stations. There's a bunch of mini tuners built in, and you can program them, have them set up so that you can tune to your favorite station before they had all the digital program tuners. There's a lot of stuff here. This is going to be really, really good. I know I showed you some of the best stuff first, as I always do, but around me right now is vintage hi-fi. Just, it's overload. Okay, so the Sansui G 22,000 again. It's only the 3rd time I've seen one. The first time I've actually got to sit down and listen to it, or stand and listen to it without any interruption. That was pretty fun, but there's a lot more here, so let's check out some of that. So next we have this entire wall over here. So we're going to look through this, see what kind of good vintage hi-fi awaits us. You got a wall of turntables down here, and up top, going across the entire thing, is vintage speakers. After we do that wall, we have another wall on this side, along with a giant mountain of speakers in the center, and just walls and walls and aisles of vintage hi-fi. All right, but before we go over there, you got to look at this wall here, because there's some really good stuff. You have a stack of Kenwoods, right? We have the KR 5400, the KR 4600, and a KR 4400, all kind of just going back in years as you go down. And then when we go over to this side, you got the KR 3600. That's the smaller model, obviously, of the 4600. You have one of the Sony STR 4800s here. And underneath one of the massive JVCs, the JRS 400. You got those really cool blue looking meters, and then you got the tuning dial, the little tuning lever over here, and then the EQ modular on the side. When they originally did the advertisement for this one, they showed this as like a removable block. I don't know if they ever made them where they were removable blocks. I don't think they did, but the way they advertised it, that's what they showed. But underneath, look at that. Look at all those Pioneers. Over here, you have the RT707, and you got 2 of them. Not just one, but 2 with the original Akai reel. The RT707 is probably my favorite reel-to-reel just because of the analog meters in the center. I just love the way they glow and look while the tape's spinning. It's very good looking. You even have another one down here. So you have a RG2 down the bottom, followed by another 707, and then the TX9100, which is actually a really nice tuner there from Pioneer. All right, so let's check out this wall here. I'm just going to go down the whole thing for you guys. Got a G5700. Got a little more Sansui here. C77 preamp and amp. That's an interesting amp, actually. As the power goes up, the lights will go diagonal across there. A couple brands use that in the 80s. Not my favorite model, but it does have a really nice display. Got a Nyko STA 7070, and then look at this. This is a monster receiver. This is Akai's biggest receiver, the AS 1080 DB. Look at that. That is just gigantic. Wow. Underneath, you got a Fisher 200 and a black-faced realistic receiver. Not super familiar with that, but you see a lot of these. If you ever see these vertical volume meters, one's for the right channel, one's for the left. That's how Realistic designed a lot of their receivers. We got a Sears. Look at that, a Sears receiver. probably made by Fisher or Sansui or one of those guys. It's like the Sansui 221. Got another realistic here, the STA 120. And again, you got the Pioneer QX 8000. You got a Luxman. So one thing I just saw the other day looking at some ads, this is a Luxman R1030. Luxman actually was known just as Lux for a while in the U.S., which I didn't know until I recently looked at some advertisements for them. Got a realistic. This is a quad realistic. Look at the way they put the audio rotor joystick there on the front. That's interesting. We got a Sony STR 5800. We got a Sony STR 6055. So this one is a little older. As you can see, the tuner lights up green, I believe, when you turn that one on. Just like the tuning dial on this Sansui 350A. It's going to all light up green there. Underneath, we got a SA510. This is an integrated amplifier, early 80s. But underneath, you got an Onkyo Integra receiver. Any of these Onkyo Integras, especially with the wood sides, are going to be excellent, no matter what they are. This is going to be, it's kind of like a Sony ES build. It's a better build than the Onkyo. Whenever you see those wood sides, pick it up. That's a good one. I got an ADCOM going up. You got a JVC 4-channel with the CD4. Then you got an older Sansui. You know, this one's going to be just lit up on the sides by 2 little bulbs, maybe even one. This is the model 3000A. This is going to be an early model. It might even, you know, if I'm guessing right, this is actually probably a tube model. Unless it says solid state on the front, which it does. So I'm wrong. It is solid state. And I don't even know, never seen this one. This is a Heathkit AJ1510, but it kind of resembles a phone almost, the way this tuner is made. The way these buttons feel, it's kind of like dialing. It's like dialing a phone. Very interesting. Over here you got a Rotel. See, you didn't know Rotel was making receivers and integrated amps back then. They were, and this one actually looks pretty good. I haven't seen this one before. It is smaller than most, but the way the front looks, and you can kind of see it, hopefully on video, it has a very interesting texture. Underneath that, you have one of Pioneer's early receivers, the SX1000TW. Got a Sony 6036A. I really like, if I was going with a vintage Sony receiver, it would probably be this one because of the way it lights up and the way the front looks, the way all these little bevels are made in here. When you light this up, this is an amazing series that's often overlooked for Sony. A lot of people are jumping on like the STR 5800, this type of series, or the V series. When you go to these, they have that Sansui look to the tuning dial, which is just amazing. All right, what do we got here? We got a Nikko NR500. That's going to be 80s. The Sanyo 2050. This one actually, for being a small receiver, has a lot built in. The knobs feel all really nice, but they have 2 power meters. You got the signal meters. You got all kind of functionality. It's not the biggest, probably not the best sounding, but it looks pretty darn good. And underneath, this is exciting. You have a Luxman receiver, and this is one of the ones where the front actually goes in and out, I believe. So these Luxmans are just insane looking. Look at the way the FM knobs, they're actually clear. So AM, FM, all your indicators and your tuning dials are made with like a clear plastic. And you have this section here that overlaps the controls. So I don't know if this is one of them, but a lot of them, they actually would move when you turn it on. Now underneath, you have a Heathkit. Going down, you get a Sansui 350A. Got some B&O. Look, there's a B&O CD player, the CD50. And it just comes right out. Look at that. Oh, look, it even looks like the way the top of the B&O turntables. Look, that's pretty cool looking. It's a very interesting design. For sure. I know you guys are going to yell at me for doing that manually in the comments, so go ahead, let me have it. A giant Heathkit up here, a Lafayette LRK 900A. This is more of a vintage style. I mean, I guess a vintage style Lafayette would be a lot older than this one. It's definitely an early 70s model. Just like this, the Harman Kardon 630. Now, these are the twin-powered Harman Kardons that are very popular. This one has a little bit of a gold tint to it, just from probably smoking over the years. But this is a wonderful receiver for sure. Lights up green, has the various tiers of tuning dials in there. It's just amazing. And this one's actually pretty cool too. This Kenwood, the TK140, I haven't really seen this one before. But I love the way it has the wood wood vinyl on the side. That is super, super 70s. I love it. Going down, we have the realistic SA1000A, followed by the STA64B. Everything on this one's silver, even the back. It looks a little white, but just the whole thing is done in silver. So that's a Radio Shack model, but then underneath you got the J.C. Penney's model, the MCS 3225, and then under that, this is a really good receiver, guys. If you ever see this one in the wild, it's time to pick it up. The Toshiba SA725. Toshiba doesn't get a lot of love for vintage receivers, but this is an excellent receiver for sure. Underneath, we got a Pioneer, some cracked glass there, got a Lafayette, just lots of tuners going down. A Yamaha CR620, excellent receiver. A Sansui TR707A. Sansui 4000, the Pioneer TX6200 tuner. You got a lot of turntables mixed in. Let's see. If you guys see anything, let me know. Let me know in the comments. But there's lots of turntables. Oh, let's look down here. This is interesting. What is this? Here's another Toshiba. Wow, it's an odd design. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that. The signal and the tuning meters are very slim and then nothing above it. But an interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen this model before. Toshiba ST420 tuner. I'd like to see the rest of the system that belongs with. Should be pretty interesting. Then you got a Marantz. So this is a cool piece. Another one I've never seen. Look at it. It has that 70s Marantz look, but a little bit different. So this is the 2020 tuner. I don't know about that. I don't know how I like it. I like the way it looks. I'd love to see it lit up. But a very interesting look for a Marantz for sure. It's even a different color blue. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's a darker blue than most of the other Marantzes are. So lots of crazy stuff down here. Turntables for days. And you get down into the pro mixing, got all kind of pro stuff back here. These speakers look like file cabinet. I've never seen anything like that. You see something new doing this all the time. I mean, you have hundreds of different types of speakers. That's why usually I don't spend all the time. Look at that Fisher logo. That is an interesting. That must have been after they were sold for sure. See a lot of speakers. Can't keep up with all of them. Just the familiar ones. Like the 901s that are up here. You know, you can be familiar with those, the Sansuis down the end. If you look up behind me, you're going to see more vintage reel-to-reels, so we'll check those out. But everywhere you look here, there's something hiding in a corner that you just didn't even realize was there. Now, the first two reel-to-reels up there, they're going to be a Kai's. You got a GX620, it looks like, and a 625. These reel-to-reels are good forever. They have glass heads, and they're some of the most reliable reel-to-reels on the market. Next, you're going to go in the opposite direction. You're going to see a Sony reel-to-reel, which are not the most reliable. Then you have a TX and an Atari. I'm not as familiar with the Ataris. A lot of nice reel-to-reels up top. Going down here, you see a lot of vintage speakers. Let's see if there's anything that really sticks out to me there. You got some Infinities here. Of course, you got Advents, some Sony speakers. Got your Bose, got your furniture style speakers. Everybody tells me never to skip out on the furniture style speakers, just in case. You never know what's going to be in them. More Advents. There's all kind of speakers all the way around the top of this store. It's just so wild. If you guys know any of these speakers are that I didn't talk about, be sure to put them in the comments. But we do have one pair that we pulled down the bottom because I thought this was really interesting. So they have like little knobs, so it actually kind of looks like a piece of furniture that you can open. Now you can't open it, but it gives you that appearance that it is some kind of piece of furniture with little knobs that you could pull open. Above them we have the Weltron, that famous 8-track globe style 8-track there. That's super cool. Let's see what is sitting up here, if there's anything cool. You got a lot of pro amps. This is kind of like a pro section down here, a lot of guitar amps, keyboards, all that good stuff. But as you go over, that's going to change. And as you go down, there's a bunch of components here. Look, here's a Phase Linear, the Phase Linear Model 2000 Series 2, a couple cassette decks, more speakers, a whole section of ADCOM components over here in NAD. These all complement each other really well as a Carver there. Looks like another Weltron, the Pioneer 8-track there. Lots of 8-tracks, reverbs, all the different EQs there. You got Realistics up top. You got the BSRs, which are really nice because they have the little light up display in the middle. The Sansui SE7. That's a really fantastic EQ. No lights, no colors, but really nice nonetheless. You got a Sound Craftsman. This one's interesting. This is a Sound Craftsman, but it's a more vintage Sound Craftsman. It must be one of the originals. I'm not real familiar with that. Just like I'm not familiar, not with this one. This is the Pioneer SG9800, but the 100. So that's like an original Denon EQ. I'm not familiar with that one at all, but that's pretty cool. I didn't even know they made one. So of course, when I find the stores to go to on Google, you never actually know. I've never been here before. I didn't call. I just surprised them. Hey, how's it going? I want to check out the store. And you can't always tell how much is in a store from Google Pictures, right? And that's the case here. You know, there's so much. I'm hoping I get enough of it for you guys, but there's just, it's literally everywhere in the store. There's something. And I mean, to the point, like, look, just look behind me, how much stuff there is. Just everywhere you walk. There's speakers, there's amps, there's reel-to-reels, there's cassette decks, there's this guy. Just
hey, what's up, guys?
Wherever you go, you're seeing something good. You having fun?
Yes.
So we got CD players over here, multi-disc CD players. Go over, we got more cassette decks and another stack of turntables here. But what's really cool over here, you have an 8-track Akai in the box. Like, that's pretty nice, right? You don't see that all the time. And we've been looking at a lot of reels lately. We've been finding these all over. A lot of these stores have original reel-to-reel tapes. So here you have a Johnny Cash, you got a Steppenwolf, you got the Rolling Stones. Wow, a lot of really cool original reels, which is, you know, they're getting harder and harder to find. But, you know, we've been finding out that, hey, they are out there. So over here, I pulled the cover off. I sat it on top of the other one, but this is an ohm speaker. And just look at the way that the tweeter or the cone of the speaker, you know, I don't even know how these are made. You guys are going to have to correct me in the comments. But this is my first time really seeing one of those. I'm familiar with them, but I've never listened to them. To me, it looks like how AMT built their speakers, the A1 or the 1A, whatever it was called. They have that same look. They have that same, you know, grill that goes over top the driver there. So it's just a unique design they decided to do. Not too familiar with what that is. That looks kind of custom. You got these big powered infinities here, some Fisher speakers. Let me know again if you guys are familiar with any of the ones that I'm missing. You got a nice pair of clips going across the top. We got some Paradigms. You got more clips. MB Quart, not familiar with that one. I got some JBLs. Lots of crazy stuff here. Look at all these speakers. They go everywhere. This is insane. Got these giant Accustat speakers here, which look like they might be powered around the back. Nope, they're passive. Not familiar with these ones with the red drivers. There's a lot of speakers here. I don't think I can name them all. What is this? The Kenwood Super Woofer. I have never seen anything like that. SW500. That is a very unique subwoofer. That is not Wife Factor approved for sure. But lots of subwoofers here, including this really nice giant one on the end. A Sony Trinitron. Look at that. Down the end here, we have a 1959 Gibson guitar. It is amazing. In the case, pretty rare. I do not know everything about guitars at all, but that is a high-end, valuable guitar right there. The Gibson ES 335. Look at that. And look at these custom little guitar pieces on the sides of the wall. Those are pretty cool. You got a Pink Floyd, you got an Ozzy. Look at the bull. He's coming for you. What is that? That is a Panasonic word processor. That's wild. I wonder what the disco machine was over here, but it was actually just this clock. That is amazing. Get that. I wonder what year that's from. So I was looking through the videotapes they have, and I saw this right here. So West Coast Video was the video store that I used to go to as a kid. And that's how I get into professional wrestling, just renting wrestling tapes from West Coast Video pretty much daily through my entire childhood. Some other ones here too. You got Blockbuster, a couple other ones. That's the fun thing about looking at VHS tapes. You always see where they used to be rented. So this is the second television ever made. See the tuner right on top? Now, could you imagine if we were still watching TV on something like this today? It'd be a whole different way of watching YouTube, that's for sure. I didn't expect any of that. Like from what I saw online, there was a couple vintage receivers. When you go to the trading post in person, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of vintage hi-fi components scattered throughout the store. It's almost like a cool scavenger hunt going through their store. It's amazing. You have to, if you come up to Maple Grove, New Jersey, you have to stop by the Barrett's Trading Post. It's amazing. It's amazing. Hope you guys had fun touring it with me. See you next time.